I gotta tell you a story that's a little embarrassing, but I think you'll be able to relate. Lisa and I moved down here to North Carolina in the spring, and it was the most difficult thing we've done in our entire lives. We had to move our business, which consisted of our entire inventory we carry on the website, all the racks, and even a room full of cardboard boxes we use to ship orders in. On top of that, there was the aquariums, including a 360 gallon, two 240 gallons, two 125s, and a bunch of 75s, 29s, 10s, 5s. You get it. It was a lot of glass boxes.
Is it on? Mm-hmm. Hey.
Plus there was the betas. And oh yeah, did I forget to mention, we had to move all of our personal items and our family, and this was a move 4 hours away in a new state. Needless to say, it was a huge undertaking. Once we got here, we had to set everything up, get all of the fish happy, and build the new 300 tank beta system. What I'm getting at is this was an absolutely exhausting process, and after the dust was all settled, we could finally take a deep breath. We could relax and enjoy our new life. But there's a problem with that. We blinked our eyes and 7 months had gone by. Yeah, we had a lot go on in that time, but it's absolutely incredible to me how fast more than half a year went by and all of the projects just kept piling up. Well, it's time to get moving on these projects, and I'm going to show all of these to you in videos over the next several months. I don't want to blink my eyes and another 6 months went by without getting these projects done. I started a couple of weeks ago with my 240 gallon yellow lab tank, where I created an environment that I believe is perfect for them. When that project was done, I realized I bought way more rocks than I needed. That wasn't intentional, and it wasn't a mistake either. The reason I bought too much is because the rocks were sold in a pallet and you had to get the whole thing. I don't consider that to be a problem though, because it's never difficult to find something to do with a bunch of rocks when you're a fish keeper. And for me, I didn't have to look very far. I just had to look at the tank right next to the yellow lab tank, the 240 gallon Peacock and Hap tank. I'll admit this tank has been pretty neglected since we moved here. The fish are healthy and happy, but the tank just looks horrible. Not only is it dirty, but it's also got nothing but fish in it. And that's pretty boring. Now I gotta tell you, I've never been happier with a tank I've aquascaped more than the yellow lab tank. It turned out exactly how I had envisioned it, and I had enough rocks left over to do the exact same thing in the Peacock and Hap tank, but come on. Do I want all of my tanks to look the same? No. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous, but if I just repeated the same thing, it would be a missed opportunity to create something that'll stand out and provide a much better environment for the fish. In nature, peacocks and haps originate from the same lake yellow labs do, Lake Malawi in Africa, but they're very different fish. Peacocks and haps are more free-swimming fish, while yellow labs and all imbunas for that matter want the rocks to swim through and hide in. Peacocks and haps will definitely swim through the rocks, but they also appreciate open space to swim around, so I wanted to utilize the rocks that were left over while also leaving plenty of open space for them to swim around and explore. In order to get started with this, I had to do the exact same thing as the other tank. I had to drain it, remove all of the decorations, which was only like 5 fake rocks, and then move it down 5 or 6 feet to be right next to the yellow lab tank. Draining the tank and removing the fish and placing them in the same tote I used for the yellow labs was simple. The hard part was moving the tank. You know, us men look at things way different than a normal, sane person. When I was making my plan for this, I was thinking, it's not a problem. I'll drain it and then just slide it down. I mean, it doesn't have the casters on it like the yellow lab tank does, but I can still slide it. Even if I have to go real slow and slide it an inch at a time, it's really no big deal. I could not be more wrong. This tank wouldn't budge, not even an inch. Fortunately though, I had happened to be doing this the same weekend our son CJ was home from the Navy. He got stationed just an hour away from us and can come home on weekends whenever he wants. I gotta tell you, if he hadn't been there, I would have never got this done. But please, just don't tell him that. The other cool thing was his friend Guerrero and his short blue shorts came with him, so we had 3 people and we needed it. Even with 3 of us, we could barely get this thing to budge, and we were going to hurt ourselves. I certainly don't want to be the one that hurt one of these guys when they're just starting out with their careers in the Navy. So I had to step back and think of how we were going to do this, and then it occurred to me. I had some leftover 3/4 inch PVC pipe from when I did the beta system. I cut several pieces to just be a little wider than the tank, and then I used a huge pry bar that I actually bought to rip out the floors in this fish house when we first bought it. But anyway, I used that pry bar to lift up on the tank, and CJ slid the pieces of pipe underneath it. Once we got 2 of those pipes underneath the tank, it moved like nothing. I mean, it was almost like it was on wheels. So with the tank moved, CJ, Guerrero, and his short blue shorts went fishing while I got started on the scape. Like I said before, I wanted to make this tank look good with these leftover rocks without taking up too much room. So many people commented on my yellow lab tank, "Aren't you worried about taking away so much space from the fish? Aren't you worried about water displacement?" No, because they're in Bunas. This is what they want. They want to be in and out and go back and forth through the rocks. I mean, if I had closed it off and took away half of the tank, that would have been a problem, but that's not what I did at all. There's tons of space in, around, and behind those rocks, and I gotta tell you, the fish have never been happier. It's like they're completely different fish, and that new scape was a total home run. But back to this one. Peacocks and Haps don't want that. They like having places to explore and even hide if they need to, but they prefer open swimming space, so I had to do this one completely different, and as weird as it might sound, this one was way harder than the yellow lab tank. One of the other things I wanted to do differently in this one was I wanted to incorporate something other than rocks. So many African cichlid tanks, including literally every one I've ever done, is just rocks. You can't use live plants because they'll just tear them up, so what do? Well, Lisa came up with a brilliant idea of gathering some sticks from our sycamore trees and using them in there. One of the downsides of having 6 200-year-old sycamore trees is with every storm, you've got to clean up all the branches and sticks that fall off of them, but as fish keepers, this turns out to be a good thing. Lisa has been collecting them and soaking them just for this purpose, so I figured I'd give it a try. This turned out to be more of a challenge than I thought, because you need the rocks to hold the sticks down, but you still want the sticks to be up off the substrate. And one of the things I was paying a lot of attention to was trying to keep them from being a nuisance when I was doing water changes. With this type of look, there's going to be some maintenance challenges, but I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. It just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. You ever been at that place where you have a vision and it's kind of coming together, but then again, it's not? It's kind of where I am right now. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break, I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to just stare at this thing. And then I'll be able to figure it out. I hope so anyway. Oh, it's just not there. It's close, but it's not there. So after this, I did exactly what I said. I took a break, which was very welcomed because it was a super warm day. When I did the yellow lab tank, it was like 20 degrees outside. It was when that huge cold front came through. But this day it was 75, which meant it was like 85 in the fish house. That temperature with moving the tank down and lugging all of those rocks into the tank, it just wore my old butt out. But the break turned out to be a really good thing because I was able to look and see exactly what I needed to do. And once I got started again, I removed some of the biggest rocks, replaced them with smaller ones, and kept on going. It was finally coming around. Getting towards the end, I just couldn't put my finger on it, but there was still something missing. It was really close, but it just wasn't exactly what my vision was. I had no choice but to call in the big guns. There's just not the rock left. that could go up in that corner.
Is it the height or the width and all that?
Yes, yes, and yes. I even looked at the ones that are outside. It's just not, it's not there.
Now you have to have one more.
We'll see if you can find one that'll fit. She found the rock. And that did it. I tell you folks, it pays to be married to a genius. And she's smoking hot too. With the final rock put in place and the tank full, I got things up and running again. And just like the Yellow Lab tank, it was cloudy. The cloudy water didn't last long though, and I was able to put the fish back in that night. Here's another benefit of CJ being home for the weekend. We had to drive him back to the base in Norfolk, Virginia on Monday night, and since we were in the area, we decided to stop by Jungle Aquatics in Virginia Beach. Jungle Aquatics is owned by the same gentleman that used to have the best pet store on earth, Animal Jungle. I have no footage of Animal Jungle because I wasn't a YouTuber at the time, but this store was like a zoo that also had a pet store. They had huge displays with giant snakes, a serval cat, and even an alligator. And if you went to the other corner of the store, they had an aviary with birds flying around. It was unbelievable, but like so many things involving animals, PETA had to stick their noses in it and ruin it for everyone. Now, I appreciate the overall mission of PETA, but this was an example of them going too far. They ruined a really good thing because they have to poke and prod anything involving animals. I can tell you, I've talked to a lot of families in the Virginia Beach area that were devastated when that place shut down. Virginia Beach isn't exactly a wealthy place, and visiting this store was like being able to go to the zoo for free. Free entertainment for kids that doesn't involve a video screen. Good job, PETA. You're like what my parents used to say when I was a teenager. You're the reason why we can't have nice things. Anyway, I want to support this owner any way I can, so we went to his new store, Jungle Aquatics. This store isn't exactly new, but it was my first time going there, and we didn't know if they'd be okay with us filming in there, so we just went in as regular customers. The trip paid off because I was able to find 3 new awesome fish. First is an adult male redfin borlei. This is one of those staple fish in the African cichlid hobby that should really be in every tank. I have a really nice one that turned out to be a juiced female, so now I have a pair. They hang out a lot. Next is an awesome Placidochromis Malomo, or VC10. This has always been one of my favorites, and this guy was only $24.99, and he's like 4 inches. I couldn't pass him up. Last was a fish I've never kept in all of my years as an African cichlid keeper. It's a Ramphicromis macro. Oh, okay, really? Who cares how you say it? It's a Malawi barracuda. Not only have I never kept one of these, but I've never even seen one in real life, so there was no doubt I had to snag him. I say him, but in reality, I'm not sure if it's a male or a female. The prominent egg spots on the anal fin and the fact that this was the dominant fish in the tank that I bought him from made me confident that he's going to turn out to be a boy. So this is it. This is the final product, and I couldn't be happier. Do I have the same feeling with this one that I did with the Yellow Lab tank? No, but that doesn't mean I'm not happy with it. In fact, I'm thrilled with it, and just like the Yellow Labs, the fish in here are more active and just overall happier with this new setup. Yeah, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world to maneuver the python around the sticks, but it's certainly worth it. There's several reasons why I did what I did with both of these tanks. First is, well, the tanks looked terrible and needed to be freshened up. The second is I wanted to get these tanks next to each other to make it look better. And third is we had to clear room for another project we're doing in just a few weeks. I can't tell you what that project is, but I can tell you this. It involves a major player in the aquatic industry coming here and doing something absolutely massive. This is going to be something you're definitely not expecting, so you might want to subscribe to see it. This project will change everything about this fish room, and it has a very powerful personal story attached to it that you're not going to want to miss. In the meantime, I've still got the goldfish tank to move to get that area totally cleared out. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a video about that or not, but if I can come up with a compelling enough story around it, I might. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I can't wait to talk to you again on the next one. Bye.